My biggest takeaway from week 2 on this Sunday is that the Bengals are back. They today proved they are the only team in the AFC that can prevent the Chiefs from going to their 3rd straight Super Bowl. That's it. The Bengals are the only team. Because look what they were able to accomplish today. I know the final score says otherwise. They lost by 1. But look at what they were able to do in this game despite the loss. That should give you confidence moving forward. They were 1 pass interference. And by the way, the right call. It was pass interference. Let's not even argue that. He got there before the ball was there. It's obvious on any replay you watch. But they were 1 pass interference away, 1 fluky play away from a rookie DB on a 4th and 16 Hail Mary by Patrick Mahomes, essentially, from winning that game in Arrowhead. And not only winning that game in Arrowhead, winning that game on the road against a 2-time defending champs without your 1A receiver in T. Higgins, with his replacement, Yoshi Voss, coming out of nowhere, stepping up to get 2 touchdown receptions. You're losing defensive backs, or defensive linemen, in this game as well. Jamar Chase still working his way back from essentially holding out all of training camp. He was held in check as well. Like, the Bengals had a lot going against them, either going into this game or during the game, and still, again, were 1 play away, a millisecond away from going into Arrowhead and knocking the Chiefs off. So when you start to look ahead, who could beat the Chiefs, who could dethrone the Chiefs, I mean, I think the Bengals, if they do meet again in the postseason, are going to be a much different but much better team. They'll have Jamar Chase now fully, enthralled in the offense here and fully working the rust off. They'll have T. Higgins. And this is a Bengals team we have seen in the Joe Burrow era. They peak in December and January. Right when you want to be playing your best football, that's when they do. And so this is really, if you look at it, this is still kind of they're trying to get the rust off, still trying to get their legs under them. September has not been a very kind month for the Bengals in previous years. They get better as the season goes along. So when you look at how they played today, even though it's a loss, and now I know they're 0-2, and history says they are not going to make the playoffs. We'll get to that here a little bit later on the show. 0-2, dead or alive. But the odds are stacked against them as to them making the postseason. Forget that. I think they are absolutely making the playoffs here despite this 0-2 start. And I think right now when you look at the landscape of the AFC through 2 weeks, they to me are the only team in the conference I think that's standing in the way from the Chiefs and a 3rd straight Super Bowl. Because it's not even just what we saw today that has me encouraged going forward here. It's what we've seen in previous years. They have the DNA. They have the blueprint for what it takes to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. They, number one, have a great quarterback. Joe Burrow, right? The guy is cold when it matters most. Had a really solid game today. I know he had the turnover that kind of changed the game, the fumble, but 2 touchdown passes, 258 yards, was very efficient, did a really good job getting the tight ends involved, made really good decisions as well. I liked how Joe Burrow played coming off of last weekend's embarrassment. But they have a quarterback, and few do. We've seen Lamar choke against the Chiefs. Josh Allen, for the most part, has played well. It's kind of been everything else around him that's been the problem. But you see some great quarterbacks and not be able to get it done against the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Bengals absolutely have the guy good enough to beat the Chiefs in the postseason. But it's not just that, because you need more than just a quarterback. They also have, on defense, a game wrecker that can absolutely turn a game. You saw it today with Trey Hendrickson. Guy was unblockable. He almost single-handedly won this game for Cincinnati. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, countless penalties that erased big plays and kept pushing the Chiefs' offense back. He was destroying this Kansas City offensive line. They have that game wrecker that can't be stopped, that can really help to nullify the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. But here's the biggest thing, and you saw it again in this game today. It's not just a great quarterback. It's not just a game wrecker at defensive end. The most important thing the Bengals have that no other team has is the confidence, is the swagger, is the fearlessness it takes to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. We've seen, again, the Ravens last year at home crap the bed. They totally got out of their offense. They tried to beat the Chiefs at their own game instead of just doing what got the Ravens to host a AFC title game 60 minutes from the Super Bowl, they got all out of whack. The Bills we've seen multiple times choke. The Dolphins and Tua just completely melted down. We've seen really talented teams, high-powered offenses, just get out of rhythm, out of whack when they play the Chiefs. The Bengals are the only team that are not only afraid of them, they challenge them. They think they're better. And I defended, when I was filling in for JR earlier this week, I defended the Bengals when you had Cam Taylor-Britt saying that, Xavier Worthy is nothing but a speed guy. He can only run straight and that they're not worried about him. You had Jamar Chase talk about how the Bengals are the team to beat, not the Chiefs in the AFC. I respected it. I backed the Bengals up. I actually felt better about the Bengals going to this game after hearing those two comments because the Bengals talk the talk. When they're at their best, they flap their gums. They're confident. It starts with their quarterback and Joe Burrow. He's the quiet kind of, he's a quiet confidence guy. He's not talking a lot of smack. He's not going to be out there putting out bulletin board material. But his quiet confidence permeates to the rest of the team. And when those guys are talking, that's when I know they feel confident in their guy in Burrow. And to Cam Taylor-Britt's credit, not only did he talk the talk, and really Xavier Worthy was a complete non-factor in this game, he had a sick interception. Odell Beckham-esque, one hand going down, grabbing it. Could have changed the game right there. Like, the Bengals are a team that do talk because they're not afraid of the Chiefs. They go in there expecting to win. They play their game and play it really well. And I think from the confidence perspective, the psyche perspective that Cincinnati has, that gives them an edge over every other team right now in the NFL when it comes to, or at least in the AFC, I should say, when it comes to beating the Chiefs. No one else can do it except one team, Cincinnati. Even though they lost today, I loved what I saw from the Bengals. And I'm not the only one, by the way. I loved it. You know who also loved what they saw today? Head coach Zach Taylor, who after the game was talking to the media, and yes, despite the loss, still said he felt pretty good about this team going forward here.
Team played hard. I'm really proud of the way they fought, and put ourselves in some really good situations in both halves. Defense getting those takeaways was critical. So again, just disappointed that we lost. It's an emotional loss for us. But at the same time, I like where our team's mental state is at right now, how we fought on the road against a really good team. And I'm confident that we're going to be able to bounce back the right way and get ourselves in better shape coming into week 3.
I know there's a lot of moral victory police people out there, right? That say, Ryan, you got to win the game. No moral victories in football. I think this is one of the examples of a moral victory for if you're the Bengals. You go out last week and put up an absolute stinker at home against the Patriots, a team that I thought and most people thought would be one of the worst teams in the league. You come then with a shorthanded roster into the two-time defending champs' house, reeling off that loss. Even though, again, they lost the game and now are 0-2, I feel really good about the Bengals' chances not only to make the playoffs, but to dethrone the Chiefs right now and be the only thing stopping them from going to a third straight Super Bowl. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. I want to hear your thoughts about this game. Biggest game of the day, the most hyped game of the day, Bengals-Chiefs. Were you more impressed with Cincinnati, or were you more impressed with Kansas City? In fact, they were able to win this game when most people thought it was over. When they did not play their best game by far. Mahomes was held in check. The receivers, no one did anything. Kelsey was invisible. The offense line had a ton of penalties. Were you more impressed with Cincinnati in a loss or with Kansas City in a win? 855-212-4227. Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. Really quick here before I go to break, because I know maybe some of you are thinking, again, maybe I'm jumping the gun because the Bengals are 0-2. Ryan, let's see if they make the playoffs first. Let's just quickly, it's early, but quickly look at the landscape, the playoff landscape here for the Bengals at 0-2. Here's why I'm not concerned, why I am guaranteeing you right now on, what is today, September 15th, they're making the playoffs. Look at who else is around them in the AFC. Who are the 7 teams right now that are going to keep Cincinnati out? Let's look in the AFC North, because I don't think the division is over by any stretch of the imagination. Steelers right now sit on top of the AFC North at 2-0. Does anyone think by the end of the year the Steelers will be winning that division? They've beaten the Falcons, and now they just beat the Broncos today. 2 bad offenses, and the Steelers offense looks like crap. They have 1 touchdown in 2 games. I'm not thinking right now the Steelers are going to be sitting up top at the AFC North. I don't think they'll be in a playoff spot when the year comes to an end. I'm not worried about the Steelers. Browns right now, even though they won today, Deshaun Watson does not give you a lot of excitement going forward. Had a good quarter, okay, against the Jaguars. Second half, a complete no-show. I got a lot of questions about him. The Ravens right now have offensive line problems, defensive problems. They right now are an absolute mess. We'll get to the Ravens here in a little bit. But the AFC North, I think, is wide open. And I feel right now, if I had to put money on it, the Bengals would win that division. And then you look at, okay, Ryan, forget the division. Let's just look at the wild card, the other teams out there. Who else is keeping the Bengals out of a wild card spot if they can't win the division? Dolphins? Look, obviously, prayers for Tua. Hopefully he does well. He's going to try to come back at some point this year. What that timeline looks like, I have no idea. But in the immediacy right now, it's Skylar Thompson. Good luck. Dolphins are also a paper tiger. They can't beat any good team. Jets, Aaron Rodgers so far has been rusty. I'm not sure how much better he's going to be. That offense seems like it's going to kind of be just okay this year. I don't feel great about them. Colts right now, everything's going poorly. Defense, offense, everything's bad. Jaguars, see Colts. Everything is bad for the Jags as well. Chargers, I don't think they're good enough. Like, you look around, there are not many teams right now that are truly in contention here to get a wild card berth that you feel better about than Cincinnati. Even though they lost today, I feel great about the future of the Bengals. I feel so great about it. For me, the Bengals are the only team right now in the AFC I could see knocking off the Chiefs.